Today, AstraZeneca starts trading its ordinary shares on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol AZN. It marks the biggest company transfer by market capitalization in history of the NYSE. This move underscores AstraZeneca's commitment to science and innovation and accelerates the company's ability to deliver more innovative medicines to patients in the U.S. and around the world. Well, staying on the topic of healthcare, I recently sat down with FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary on the trading floor, and he shared his vision for how he's looking to modernize the agency. Let's take a look.
Well, I was a cancer surgeon at Johns Hopkins before coming to the FDA, and when you're at the bedside of a patient, especially when you have to break bad news, you want to think about why are there hurdles and barriers and idle time in bringing more cures to patients. And so we've got to challenge the deeply held assumption that it needs to take 10 to 12 years for a new drug to come to market. So we're doing a lot on the streamlining and modernization side. We've reduced animal testing requirements. Many of the animal tests are not necessary. We've announced just recently allowing real-world data to be admitted to FDA applications. The requirements in the past for real-world data to be in the application has been so onerous that hardly any approved drugs have actually used real-world data. We can learn a lot from real-world experiences. We've reduced the clinical trial requirement from 2 pivotal trials to 1 pivotal trial, which allows companies to run double the number of drugs through these trials. So we want to reduce unnecessary waste and idle time. It turns out you can achieve the same statistical power with 1 well-designed, well-controlled trial as you can with 2. And so we're doing a lot on the side of increasing predictability for the agency, streamlining the process, and reducing the R&D costs by changing the requirements so they're common sense and yet still maintaining our goal of ensuring public safety.
Is there a way to quantify the drug development efficiency that you anticipate to see under your leadership at the FDA, including in some of these high-need areas?
There is. I think, first of all, I'd like to see in our time at the agency a cure or meaningful treatment for type 1 diabetes, for some neurodegenerative cruel diseases, for certain phases of cancer where we've seen in early studies drugs melt away a cancer so you don't need surgery or chemo or radiation. I mean, these game-changing results, like the one we just saw published for multiple myeloma, they deserve a rapid review. So we have a new pilot program to get decisions out from the FDA in a matter of weeks. Now that's unprecedented, but we're doing this in a pilot program to evaluate what can we do better to reduce idle time and use our convening power rather than farm the applications out to separate agencies. We also need more clear guidance to companies so they don't have to do guesswork, which can add a lot of time and expense for companies. We want to make the process clearer and more transparent. And so one of the things we did is to make our rejection letters public information for the first time in FDA history, so that drug developers can see exactly how the reviewers in a particular study section think and what they want to see in a trial.
I do want to talk about trust in the FDA. We did see it come under pressure during the coronavirus pandemic.
Yes.
Now, as you're at the helm in 2025 of the FDA, how are you looking to restore confidence in the agency?
Well, first of all, I'm very proud of the medical profession. And to see that public trust in doctors and hospitals went from 71% of the public trusting us in 2019 to just 40% last year, the year before I came to the FDA, that is an American tragedy. And so we've got to show humility. During COVID, sometimes the right answer was, we don't know, and we should have said that. And we're going to do everything we can to show humility in our work. We're going to make adverse events transparent on a daily basis. We're going to modernize the agency. We're going to do what we can to be honest with people. We just announced that we're revising the black box warnings on hormone replacement therapy for postmenopausal women. They were fueling a 23-year-old dogma that hormone therapy for postmenopausal women is going to increase your risk of dying of breast cancer when no clinical trial has ever supported it. So where we can be more honest, we're doing the same with the OxyContin label, which has not been appropriately updated. So we're going to do everything we can to be honest with the public and let people know what we're thinking in real time as we're thinking about new reforms.
For our viewers listening, they might not be surprised then to know that you have called for radical transparency. When it comes to regulatory decisions, what more does that mean in practice?
I think it means that if the agency decides not to approve a drug, the public deserves to know exactly why. And so there's been an era where corporations have shown some optimism with their FDA decisions that have not been favorable. I don't blame them. They're trying to get investment into their company for a drug that they may really believe in. But that corporate spin on FDA results has resulted in investors sort of flying blind sometimes. And it turns out that in one analysis, 80% of FDA decisions that were not favorable to companies were not truthfully represented to the public. And so what we're doing by making our decision letters public is we're getting rid of that sort of confusion so people can see exactly why, and they deserve to know why. It increases accountability, and I think it'll help restore trust.
You've called for a healthier national food supply. How does the FDA navigate between public health protection and commercial pressures?
Yeah, so we've got to consider everything in this job. Now, one of our biggest goals is healthier food for children. We have a food supply that has increasingly shifted to an ultra processed food supply with broken guidance from the FDA and the USDA on what nutrition is, what food is. And so we're rewriting the food pyramid, and then nutritional guidance will be out in a matter of weeks. We're going to set the record straight. We're going to tell people the truth, that it's not just calories in equals calories out. It's the type of food that gives you calories. We want to promote healthy food, whole foods, food that comes from healthy soil, from good farming practices, the importance of fiber. You can't just strip fiber out of grains, chop up the grains so it functions like sugar, and tell people that this is healthy. So we're going to be doing a massive initiative in this space of food. We already announced we're taking action to remove all 9 petroleum-based food dyes from the U.S. food supply. It's been hugely popular in the United States on a bipartisan level. We have approved natural food dyes with natural ingredients to replace the artificial food dyes. We've done that at record speed in a matter of months. And we're also evaluating all the chemicals that are in the U.S. food supply that are banned in Europe. And that's because we've had this old regulation called GRAS. We are revising GRAS. We are closing the loophole. And we are going to be talking about things that have not been talked about before. We're talking now in this administration about natural light exposure for children. We're talking about the importance of exercise. We had an expert panel recently on testosterone therapy for men with low testosterone. These are public health issues that we've shied away from that we need to be able to tackle head on and talk about the latest evidence around.
All right, thanks again to the FDA Commissioner, Dr. Marty Makary, for that interview.